Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so happy that you are joining us today. This is the Deep Dive, and we are embarking on a very practical deep dive into the world of business language. Today, we are taking a fascinating behind-the-scenes look at how people talk in a business sales meeting. This is all about practical communication. How to propose ideas, how to deal with conflict, and how to sound professional and clear when you're speaking English in a high-stakes environment. We were going to slow things down and ensure every concept is easy to understand. If you have ever felt confused by business language, or if you simply want to sound more professional, clearer when you're presenting your ideas, then this deep dive is for you. Welcome to the Deep Dive, brought to you by the English Podcast. I am joined, as always, by our resident expert who is here to help us unpack and, synthesize this complex information. Hello.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. You can call me Brian. I am an academic and a scholar, and I specialize in deep social knowledge. I enjoy helping people understand the why behind the words, the motivation, and the meaning beneath the surface of the language. Our mission today is very specific. We are going to unpack a short but very intense meeting focused on driving sales, which, simply means selling more things. We will explore the language of suggestions, how conflict erupts, and unfortunately, we will look at an extremely clear example of bad management and how that toxic environment, how it affects language. We want to give you the practical vocabulary so that you can follow along with confidence, slowly and surely.
Exactly. We are trying to give you the shortcut to being well-informed, but in a very clear, easy-to-digest way. We understand that sometimes business language can feel like a foreign language, even if you are a native speaker, so we are going to take our time with this. We want this to be accessible and immediately useful for you in your daily life. We all have stories about being in a meeting or just trying to get our good idea across only to have it rejected or even worse, stolen. So let us begin with this question for you. Have you ever been cut off when you were offering what you thought was a truly brilliant suggestion?
Oh, that is such a relatable experience and a painful one. We have all been there. Often the words people use when they cut you off are just as frustrating as the act itself. They use language to dismiss your effort. We are going to examine those power dynamics and those specific dismissive words today. Before we dive in, we invite you to please like, share, and subscribe to the English Podcast channel. Your support helps us bring you more of these deep dives, ensuring we can continue to offer this accessible and clear educational content to everyone who wants to improve their English skills. We appreciate your support very much.
Thank you so much for that warm invitation. Let us get started with our core language preparation. Before we jump into the dramatic meeting dialogue itself, we need to learn two key phrases. These will help everything make perfect sense when we hear the conversation. This is our essential vocabulary preview. We want to make sure you have the tools ready before you listen, so nothing surprises you.
That is correct. Understanding these two phrases will be the foundation for everything else we discuss. The first phrase is drive sales.
Drive sales. This phrase is used constantly in the business world, and it sounds very active, does it not?
It does, and that is why companies use it. So we will start with the simplest definition. Drive sales means to increase sales or, very simply, to sell more. If a company is performing well, they might say, "We are driving sales this quarter thanks to our new marketing campaign." If they're performing poorly, the manager might panic and say, "We need a new strategy to drive sales immediately."
That basic definition is perfectly clear. But why do they use the word drive instead of just saying sell more or increase sales? Is it just, business jargon, or is there a strategic reason behind choosing that specific verb?
That is an excellent question, and it speaks directly to the core of business communication. When you say you are going to drive sales, it sounds much more active and dynamic than simply selling more. The verb drive suggests a deliberate action.
Deliberate, I see.
Yes, on specific levers. It is not passive, it is an effort. It suggests you are actively pushing the numbers up through specific, measurable actions. You see, if you are simply increasing sales, that might happen by luck or by accident. But if you are driving sales, it implies you have looked at your strategy, perhaps your pricing, your advertising, or your customer service, and you are applying pressure to those areas to force the outcome you want.
Ah, I see the strategic weight now. It shows you are taking a tangible action, such as training your staff or running a specific advertisement, because you have a goal. And that goal is to increase those sales numbers. It is a planned strategic effort. It is different from a passive increase.
Exactly. The source material gives us a very clear example of this active strategic effort. It says, if we want to drive sales, we think we need to spend more time training our people. The act of spending time training is the driving action that is expected to lead to the result of selling more products.
That makes perfect sense. It is about a planned effort to increase the volume of products or services you are selling. You are in the driver's seat, so to speak.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Now, let us move on to our second phrase in the preview, which is promotion. This is one that can sometimes confuse people because it has more than one important meaning in English.
That is a very important point to clarify immediately. Yes.
Yeah.
We have to look at the context.
We do. When we talk about promotion in the sales and
Mm.
marketing meeting context, we are absolutely not talking about getting a better job.
Right.
You know, when an employee moves up the ladder from, say, assistant to manager, that is a job promotion, a professional advancement. That is not what we are talking about here. In our meeting dialogue, we are talking about the other meaning. A promotion is a marketing strategy specifically designed to encourage buying right now. It is a temporary incentive to get customers to spend their money immediately.
So, it is something the company does to make the product look more attractive for a short period of time, encouraging fast action. It is often a limited time offer.
That is the crucial part. It is temporary. It is designed to interrupt the customer's normal buying pattern. Perhaps we can offer some simple, clear examples of what a sales promotion looks like. These are things our listeners see every single day in the supermarket or in local advertisements.
I think that would be very helpful.
The source material offers two perfect, relatable examples. Think about when you go to the store to buy something like a cleaning product or perhaps a snack.
The first type of promotion, which is very common, is a 2-for-1 offer.
That is a classic. You see a sign that says, buy one bottle of juice and get one free. That is a 2-for-1 promotion. The store is encouraging you to buy twice as much product today, which is excellent for them because they move inventory quickly.
That is a clever strategy because even if you do not need the second item immediately, you might buy it because you feel you're getting a significant saving. Or perhaps you can just save the second item for later.
Exactly. You are motivated by the perceived value. The second type of promotion is a simple price reduction. This is when an item is less expensive than usual, but only for a limited time.
Oh.
For instance, if a common household item usually costs $5, but today and this week only, it costs $4, that temporary lower price, which is often advertised with a big sign saying sale, is also considered a sales promotion. It is not a permanent price change. It is designed to create a sense of urgency.
So whether it is getting something extra for free or simply paying less money than usual, both are temporary actions designed to increase buying activity and ultimately to drive sales.
Excellent. With these two core concepts, drive sales and promotion, I think we are ready to listen in on this very stressed out business meeting.
Now we're moving into section 2, analyzing the sales meeting dialogue, ideas and conflict. So we're listening in on a sales team meeting, and the atmosphere is, well, it is tense. They are under pressure because their manager, Clark, wants concrete solutions. That means real, specific, actionable plans, and he needs them now.
The manager opens the meeting by immediately establishing a sense of panic. He says, we have got to do something about our sales, and we need to do it now. I want concrete solutions. That statement sets the tone of high stress and high expectations. The staff understands they must deliver quick results and not just, vague ideas.
Let us examine A, the problem and the first suggestion. The context they are operating in is crucial. The sales are low, and the company has a major disadvantage compared to everyone else. They're the most expensive in the market.
Being the most expensive is a very difficult position. If you are charging more than every other company selling similar products, you must justify that high price with exceptional quality or service or a unique feature that no one else can offer. If sales are low, as they are in this scenario, it strongly suggests the market does not feel the price is justified. Customers are choosing cheaper alternatives.
So Roger, one of the employees, offers what seems like the most logical, common-sense idea from a customer's point of view. What is his suggestion?
Roger suggests lowering prices to match the competitors.
Match the competitors. We briefly touched on this, but let us define it clearly again. What does match the competitors mean for the listener?
Certainly. Match the competitors means trying to be as good as or even slightly better than the other companies in the same industry. Roger's suggestion specifically means lowering their company's price point so that it is comparable to the lowest prices offered by other companies. The goal is simple: staying competitive in the price war.
Right.
Let us think about the implications. If your biggest competitor sells a standard product for $20, Roger is suggesting that your company should also lower its price, perhaps to $20 or maybe even $19, to match or slightly beat that competitive price. This is a very common strategy for high-volume sales, but it is often financially costly for the company's profit margins.
Wait, Roger's suggestion seems completely logical for the customer who was trying to save money. Why is the manager Clark's immediate rejection necessarily correct? Does the source material give us any economic justification for that quick dismissal?
That is a sharp observation. From an economic point of view, Rogers' idea is a viable, classic strategy. However, Clark is rejecting it based on the assumption that the company's costs are simply too high or that a permanent price reduction is forbidden by the higher-ups.
Ah, okay.
A company's profit margin is the money they make after paying all their costs. If they lower the price permanently to match the competitors, they must sell a huge volume of products just to make the same amount of profit they were making before. Clark, the manager, probably knows that the company's structure, or their cost of production, will not allow them to make a profit at the competitor's price point. It is a financial impossibility for this specific company.
That deeper understanding helps justify Clark's initial thought, even if his delivery was terrible. This leads us straight into B, the manager's immediate rejection. His response is quick, dismissive, and very harsh.
Absolutely. He says, lower our prices, not very creative, and then he uses that crucial piece of business vocabulary. It will never fly with Swan.
It will never fly. That sounds extremely final and perhaps a bit dramatic. We need to really understand what it means in a business context, especially when dealing with authority.
This is a fantastic and powerful piece of vocabulary. When a proposal or an idea will never fly, it means two related things that are critical to management. First, it will not work practically or profitably, and second, and most important here, it will not be approved by the management above him, specifically the CEO, Mr. Swan.
I see.
What is fascinating here is the power play. Clark does not say, I, Clark, think this is a bad idea. That would put the blame on him if he was wrong. Instead, he shifts the responsibility entirely to the inaccessible CEO, Mr. Swan. He says, it will never fly with Swan.
So Clark is using this phrase as a strategic power move. He's displacing the responsibility for the rejection onto a higher, unchallengeable authority.
Precisely. He is saying this idea is so bad that the CEO will reject it immediately, so why waste time discussing it? The idea is metaphorical. It cannot get off the ground like a plane without wings. It has zero chance of success or approval within this organizational structure.
That makes the phrase much more than just a simple rejection. It is a way of ending discussion instantly while preserving the manager's own authority. The source material gives us some clear examples of how this is used.
Yes, think about scale. For instance, a marketing plan that is too ambitious or costs $50 million will never fly. The budget alone guarantees immediate rejection from the board.
Or, we discussed a humorous example, trying to sell extremely heavy, specialized winter coats in a tropical country. That is an idea that makes no business sense, so it will never fly. It is doomed from the start due to market reality.
It is a very direct way of rejecting an idea without having to debate the specifics. Instead, you're saying the company culture, the budget constraints, or the reality of the market will reject this idea no matter what I think.
And the manager's very harsh here, saying things like, what kind of thinking is that? And pressuring them to come up with something else immediately. That aggressive, fear-based language closes down creativity.
It does.
This leads us to C, the second suggestion and the twist. Natalie, another employee, steps in, likely feeling nervous after Roger's rejection. She offers an idea that avoids the permanent price decrease. She suggests a promotion, specifically a 2-for-1 offer.
Natalie is showing creative thinking. She's trying to move away from permanently lowering prices, which Roger suggested and which Clark rejected, toward a temporary strategic incentive. A 2-for-1 offer is a classic sales promotion we just discussed. It increases volume without permanently devaluing the brand's premium pricing.
That is a key difference. The 2-for-1 offer is temporary. It gets the immediate increase in sales that Clark wants, but it preserves the company's image as the premium, more expensive option in the market once the promotion ends.
It is a much smarter idea, addressing Clark's fear of permanent price devaluation. However, Clark is now too stressed and panicked to analyze the nuances. He rejects this idea just as quickly. He calls it a bad idea, says it is the same thing as lowering the price, and dismisses it again as a really bad idea.
He is clearly becoming highly stressed and overwhelmed by the impending arrival of the CEO. He pressures them to think because the CEO will be here any minute.
That phrase, "be here any minute," conveys such extreme urgency, does it not?
It does.
It means the CEO is arriving very soon, perhaps within 60 seconds. The manager feels time running out and he has no acceptable answer to present to his boss. His panic is overriding his ability to listen and analyze a good idea.
And this anxiety is what causes the surprising and dramatic turn of events in PE. The CEO's arrival and the manager's flip. Mr. Swan, the CEO, arrives. The manager, Clark, instantly transforms his demeanor. He goes from being aggressive and demanding to being charming and subservient. He's trying desperately to look competent and successful in front of his boss.
This is where we see the most telling social dynamic. Clark knows he's failed, but he sees a potential solution standing right there, Natalie's idea, which he had just viciously attacked.
And what happens? The manager suddenly adopts Natalie's idea, which he had just called bad and not creative.
Yes. The manager's lie is stark, rapid, and complete. He presents the 2-for-1 promotion as their idea, meaning his, and he takes the full credit. That is just what I was thinking. It is a brilliant idea. He completely contradicts himself within seconds.
He moves from calling it a really bad idea to a brilliant idea in the blink of an eye, just because the person whose approval he fears most is now standing right there. It is a profound act of desperation and opportunism.
And we must analyze his choice of language here. He uses the word brilliant, which means excellent, a truly, really good idea. It is a high praise word. Why does he choose brilliant instead of just good or great?
That is a good question.
Clark is not just selling the idea to Mr. Swan, he is selling himself. By calling the idea brilliant, he signals 2 things to the CEO. First, that he, Clark, has exceptional taste in ideas, and second, that he is completely aligned with whatever the CEO might potentially approve. He is establishing immediate subservience and agreement. It is a strategic use of flattery to save his own job.
That is powerful insight into the psychology of pressure. The word brilliant is strategically placed to win approval from the superior. And the CEO, Mr. Swan, likes the sound of the idea. He says, "It sounds like something we should consider," and Clark instantly reinforces the lie.
It shows a complete lack of integrity and a strong fear of authority. The drama of this short dialogue teaches us a huge amount about not just business terms, but, well, human frailty under stress.
Now that we have analyzed the drama and the conflict of the meeting, let us shift our focus. Beyond the interpersonal conflict, the language itself is valuable. We are moving to Section 3. Expanding communication skills. Language takeaways. We are pulling out 3 specific phrases that are essential for understanding the business world and sounding professional.
Absolutely. The goal here is to give you functional, powerful phrases you can use in your own professional life, or simply understand when you hear them used in business news or conversations.
Let us start with A, in the market. We heard this when the team noted they were the most expensive in the market.
In the market is a precise way of saying in the industry, meaning among all the similar products or all the competing companies that sell the same thing. It clearly defines the scope of comparison for a particular product or service.
Right.
Think about it this way. When you say a product is expensive, you must ask, compared to what? In the market answers that question precisely. It means compared to everything else available to the customer right now. It is a comprehensive comparison.
So if I am selling houses and I say, this house is the most beautiful house in the market right now. I mean, it is the best one currently available from all real estate agents in this area or industry.
That is correct. It is a way of establishing competitive positioning. It can be used for positive comparisons, like the best product, or negative comparisons, like the most expensive product, as we saw in the dialogue. Another source example is about popular products. iPods are the most popular MP3 players in the market. This means that of all the different brands and types of MP3 players that customers could choose from, the iPod was the preferred option at that specific time. It is a very effective and professional way to talk about the total selection available to the buyer.
That is very clear. It helps establish exactly where you stand in relation to everyone else.
It is. Let us move to B-match the competitors. We have already reviewed this concept, but let us deepen our understanding, especially regarding the underlying challenges that the manager Clark was concerned about.
To recap, to match the competitors means to strive to be as good as or better than other companies in the same industry, usually focusing on price, quality, or service. And Roger suggested matching the competitors' prices.
The deeper look here concerns the real difficulty of this action, which Clark understood. When you try to match a lower price, your company faces enormous pressure to cut costs somewhere else. If your company is already operating efficiently, you might not be able to match the price without completely eliminating your profit.
I see.
This is a huge strategic decision for any company. Our source material gives us examples that illustrate the painful challenge. For instance, a manager might say, "It is impossible for us to match the competitors' prices. Our manufacturing costs are just too high."
Ah, so even if it sounds like a wonderful idea to the customer, the internal reality, the company's costs for making the product, paying the staff, and running the facility, might make it financially impossible to permanently lower the price.
Exactly. You cannot stay in business if you sell things for less than they cost you to produce. That is why Clark instantly rejected it. The profit margin simply cannot sustain a permanent reduction.
Okay.
Or consider another example that shows a quality challenge. A management team might ask, "Do you think we can match our competitors' low prices and still keep our quality high?" This highlights the competitive trade-off. To match the lowest price, you often have to sacrifice the quality of materials or the customer service level.
So the phrase match the competitors is much more complex than just copying another company. It is about a strategic, difficult decision where the company must balance price and quality.
It is indeed. This understanding helps us grasp the tension in that meeting and why Natalie's temporary promotion idea was better than Roger's permanent price matching suggestion.
Finally, let us discuss C, concrete solutions. The manager, Clark, was extremely demanding, saying he needed these immediately. What makes a solution concrete, and why did he emphasize this word?
A concrete solution is a real or specific solution to a problem. The manager emphasized this because he did not want general observations or vague complaints. He wanted actionable plans. The key word is specific, something solid, something you can touch and measure.
I see.
A concrete solution is the opposite of a vague thought, a general desire, or just complaining about the problem. It is something that can be executed and tracked.
Let us use a common business problem to illustrate the difference between a vague thought and a concrete solution.
Certainly. Let us say the problem is a recruitment issue. The company cannot hire enough qualified staff. A vague solution would be something like, "We need to find better candidates and improve our image." That sounds nice, but you cannot act on it. It is too general.
So what would the concrete solution sound like?
A concrete solution would be, "We are going to revise our job postings to emphasize the flexible schedule, and we're going to start advertising actively on 3 specific university career sites next week. We expect 5 qualified applications by the end of the month." That is tangible, measurable, and specific. It is a plan you can execute and monitor.
That is a wonderful distinction. A concrete solution answers the questions. Who will do it? What exactly will they do? And when will we measure the result?
Exactly. Manager wanted specific plans on how to drive sales, not just abstract hopes or wishes. These phrases, "in the market," "match the competitors," and "concrete solutions" are foundational to professional, effective business communication.
These are the practical language of planning and strategy. It is clear that using these specific terms elevates your professionalism immediately.
Now, in Section 4, Fluency Builder, we want to focus on small changes that make a huge impact. We want to help you take words you already know and show you ways to say them that sound clearer, sometimes more formal, and often more natural to a native English speaker. This is about polishing your communication style.
We're going to start with A, from soon to any minute. People often say, "I will be here soon," or "the report will be ready soon." This is perfectly correct English and very easy to say.
It is absolutely correct, but the word soon is somewhat vague. It could mean in 5 minutes or maybe even in an hour or 2. There is a more dynamic, urgent, and natural way to express a very short time frame, which we heard in the dialogue. Use "be here any minute."
The CEO will be here any minute, Clark
Yeah.
said, panicking.
Any minute conveys a strong sense of immediate arrival and urgency. It suggests the person or thing is literally seconds away from arriving, or perhaps within the next couple of minutes at the absolute latest. It stresses the necessity of immediate action. If you say to someone, "Hurry up, the train will be here any minute," it suggests you should drop everything and rush because the time frame is extremely small. Using this phrase makes your speech sound much more natural and urgent, especially in high-pressure business situations.
I think this is fantastic advice. It makes your language more expressive and precise. Soon is fine, but any minute makes the listener sit up and take notice.
It creates emotional impact. Our second point is B, from thinking about to consider.
The standard phrase, "we are thinking about a sales strategy," is also perfectly acceptable. It is simple, clear English.
That is true. But if you want your words to carry more weight, or if you want to sound smarter, more professional, and more formal, you should intentionally choose to use the verb to consider. This word is often preferred in formal business or academic settings because it suggests a deeper process.
Why does to consider sound smarter and more professional than thinking about? What is the subtle difference?
To consider implies a deeper, more careful evaluation. When you are thinking about something, it can be a quick surface-level reflection while you are driving or making dinner. It is informal. When you are considering something, you are weighing options, analyzing pros and cons, and treating the subject with appropriate gravity and structure.
I see.
The CEO in the dialogue understood this distinction when he arrived. He said, "It sounds like something we should consider." He was not saying, "Let us just think about it casually." He was suggesting they enter a formal analytical evaluation process.
That is a brilliant point.
Yeah.
If you are preparing a proposal, you do not want your boss to think about it. You want them to consider it carefully.
Exactly. So instead of saying to your colleagues, "Have you thought about reducing the price?" you can sound much more thoughtful and professional by asking, "Have you considered reducing the price?" It shows you are engaged in a structured professional evaluation process and expect a serious answer.
These small vocabulary shifts make a noticeable difference in how your ideas are received.
They absolutely do. Our final point in this section is C, from great idea to brilliant idea.
That is a great idea and perfectly fine. It is positive and encouraging. It is simple, clear English.
But if you want to add more power, more enthusiasm, and truly emphasize that the idea is excellent, exceptional, or truly clever, use brilliant.
The manager, Clark, used this word when he was talking to the CEO, Mr. Swan, right after he'd stolen Natalie's idea. In fact, it is a brilliant idea.
He used it for maximum impact. While brilliant is sometimes considered slightly more common in British English than American English, it is absolutely understood worldwide as meaning excellent or really, really good. It is a strong intensifier.
Right.
It takes the idea from being merely satisfactory or good to being truly exceptional. If you're trying to praise someone sincerely, or if you're trying to sell an idea to management and make a strong impression, using words that are slightly stronger, like brilliant, gives your words more impact and credibility.
It adds power to the praise. So we have upgraded our communication for fluency and professionalism. From soon to any minute, from thinking about to consider, and from great idea to brilliant idea. These are small changes, but they create a huge difference in how polished and professional you sound. Now we come to section 5, the social dynamics of management, relatability. We cannot talk about this dialogue without talking about the manager, Clark. He sounds like a truly terrible, fear-inducing person to work for, does he not?
He does. We are now moving from the structure of language to the human experience of the workplace. The dialogue perfectly captures the stress and fear that a bad manager can create. This is highly relatable.
Let us spend some time on Alave, identifying the bad manager. What specific behaviors did Clark exhibit that clearly mark him as a poor manager and leader?
First and foremost, he failed to motivate his employees. A manager is supposed to encourage creativity, trust, and open communication. Clark did the complete opposite. He used dismissive language to shut down ideas immediately. He cuts them off using harsh, dismissive language. Lower our prices, not very creative, and what kind of thinking is that? This is not feedback. It is personal attack.
This kind of behavior frightens employees.
Exactly. The source suggests that the employees were a little bit scared of talking, which is a terrible environment for a sales meeting where fresh ideas are desperately needed. When employees are afraid to speak up, the company loses out on potential brilliant solutions like Natalie's idea, which was almost lost because of Clark's fear.
He also completely undermined Natalie's confidence by calling her two-for-one idea really bad just before sealing it and calling it brilliant seconds later when the CEO arrived. That massive contradiction is managerial malpractice.
It is, absolutely. The source material reminds us of a crucial point for anyone in a leadership role. A manager's most important job is to motivate and encourage employees, supporting them to grow, feel safe, and be better. Clark failed completely because his primary motivation was his own fear of his boss, Mr. Swan. He put his own self-preservation and fear of accountability ahead of his team's well-being and productivity.
Right. When a manager is driven by fear, the team is driven by fear, and fear is the enemy of creativity and good results.
This contrast between good and bad management is so striking, so important for our listeners to recognize. Let us use this moment to move to B, the power of good management. a true anecdote, because we have a wonderful story that illustrates the opposite of Clark's aggressive behavior.
Mhm.
This anecdote from the source material is deeply relatable and educational. It shows that effective leadership is about humanity and respect, not just demanding results and stealing credit. Please share the story of the good manager. What made him so effective and so respected by his staff, even those in junior positions?
The story is about an amazing general manager at a large company. His key traits were very simple, yet incredibly powerful in their effect on morale. First, he was deeply encouraging. He made people feel safe to offer ideas, no matter how small or strange they sounded. Second, and this is crucial for building trust, he made a sincere effort to connect with everyone. He knew every single employee's first name, even in a very large organization with hundreds of people. He remembered the name of the newest person working the overnight shift and the person who had been there for 30 years.
Knowing everyone's name is often cited as the hallmark of a great leader. It shows respect and investment in the individual, rather than seeing them simply as a resource or a number on a spreadsheet.
Precisely. And he did not stop there. Every time he walked through the facility, he made an effort to stop, say hello by name, and genuinely ask how things were going with their work and their lives. These were not quick, fake interactions. He paused and listened for a moment.
The profound impact of a manager pausing to listen and use your name cannot be overstated. It sends the message. You are seen, you are valued, and your contribution matters.
And what was the result of this approach? What was the impact on the employees, like the person in the story?
The result was profound. Employees were left with a powerful, positive feeling about the company, far beyond just the paycheck. The personal experience in the story was that he genuinely wanted to work hard for that company and try his absolute best. He was motivated by respect, not by fear.
That is right.
This illustrates the immense importance of building trust. When you feel respected and seen, you feel like part of a special team working toward a common goal. That feeling of belonging and mutual respect is far more motivating and sustainable in the long term than any amount of fear that the bad manager Clark could generate. People work harder for a leader they admire than for a tyrant they fear. That small act of remembering a name is a powerful, concrete solution for high morale.
That is a wonderful reminder that soft skills, emotional intelligence, and simple kindness are the best and most effective tools for productivity and morale. To wrap up this section on the business environment, let us briefly define C, additional related vocabulary that reinforces the kind of environment we have been discussing. We need to ensure these essential business terms are explained clearly, simply, and slowly.
These are good terms to know, especially as we have been talking about strategies, sales, and long-term customer relationships. First, let us dive deeper into sales strategy.
We have mentioned this throughout. Sales strategy means the overall detailed plans a company creates for its sales activities. It is the roadmap for how they intend to drive sales.
That is correct. A sales strategy involves many things. Setting the goals, how much money do we want to make, deciding where to advertise, do we focus on print, radio, or the internet, and determining the price points. It is the comprehensive plan for approaching the market and convincing customers to buy from you instead of someone else. It is not just one idea, it is a whole system of ideas.
Right.
Next, we have the sales cycle. This is a term used constantly in every business.
The sales cycle is the process a customer goes through when deciding to buy a product. It is the journey they take from being unaware of your product to finally purchasing it.
It begins when they first hear about the product, maybe through an advertisement or a friend. Then they research it, they consider if they need it, they compare it to competitors.
Perhaps matching the competitors' prices or quality.
Exactly. And finally, they make the purchase. For a candy bar, the sales cycle might be 5 seconds. For a house, the sales cycle might be 5 months. Companies try to find ways to make that cycle shorter so they get the money faster.
And finally, customer loyalty. This is the ultimate goal of any successful sales strategy.
Customer loyalty is what every strong company strives for. It is the deeply positive relationship where a customer buys the same brand over and over again, even if there are cheaper alternatives available right next to it. They choose your brand because of trust, quality, and a positive past experience. Customer loyalty is not earned by temporary promotions. It is earned by the kind of consistent, respectful relationship that the good general manager built with his employees. When you value people, they become loyal.
These terms complete the picture of the stressful environment we analyzed in that meeting. They were trying to figure out a sales strategy to shorten the sales cycle and improve customer loyalty, all while under pressure to drive sales. That brings us to the end of our structured analysis. We have covered the essential vocabulary, the drama of the conflict, the fluency tips, and the critical social dynamics. This has been a very detailed look at practical business communication and human behavior.
It has.
Let us offer a quick review of the key practical phrases we learned today, emphasizing the value of sounding more natural and professional. Remember our upgraded phrases. We moved from the vague soon to the urgent be here any minute to convey immediacy. We changed the simple thinking about to the professional to consider to sound more thoughtful. And we upgraded great idea to the powerful brilliant to add real impact to our praise.
And we also analyzed foundational business terms like drive sales, which means increasing sales, promotion, which is a temporary incentive to buy, and the crucial power phrase, it will never fly, meaning the idea will not work or will not be approved by management.
Right. We started this deep dive by analyzing a specific stressful sales meeting, but what we really explored was human interaction and how we present our ideas, especially when we are under pressure. The manager's bad behavior, ironically, did not stop the process entirely. It showed that sometimes a brilliant idea is not recognized or accepted until the right person hears it, in this case the CEO, Mr. Swan. The manager's fear nearly caused the company to lose a good strategic idea. That is why leadership matters so much. That is a powerful reflection on the dynamics of the workplace. We have talked extensively about managers and employees, and the difference between leading with fear and leading with encouragement. Here is something for you to consider, for you to think about as you go through your day and interact with the people around you. In your own life, when you are trying to drive sales, whether that is selling a product at work or perhaps just selling an idea to a friend or family member, are you more like the manager who cuts people off and dismisses ideas immediately? Or are you more like the general manager who listens, encourages, remembers names, and builds trust? Think about how listening and encouraging others can truly be the most effective concrete solution to almost any problem you face, professional or personal. Building trust is always the best strategy.
That is a perfect final thought to leave our listeners with. Thank you for joining this detailed deep dive. We hope you will join us again soon. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the English Podcast channel. Your support means a great deal to us and helps us continue this work. Until next time, goodbye.